the silent skies above, a shadow moves unseen. Pilots call it a ghost. Enemies never know it's there until it's too late, if they ever see it at all. This is the F-22 Raptor, a fighter jet so advanced, so mysterious, and so feared that the United States almost never lets it out of its cage. But why? Why would America spend billions building the most lethal warplane in history, only to keep it hidden from the world? Today, we dive into the story of the F-22 Raptor, the plane that redefined air dominance, the myths and truths behind its legendary status, and the real reasons the US keeps it shrouded in secrecy. Stick with me to the end, because this isn't just about a jet. It's about power, strategy, and a weapon so far ahead of its time that even America treats it like a forbidden secret. And hey, if you love uncovering stories like this, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most untold military secrets. The F-22 story begins not in the skies of the 21st century, but in the tense, paranoid days of the Cold War. In the 1980s, the US Air Force had one obsession: making sure it could outfly and outfight anything the Soviet Union could throw at it. At the time, the Soviets were working on advanced fighters like the Su-27 and the MiG-29. These jets were fast, agile, and designed to challenge American air supremacy. Washington needed something not just better, but untouchable. Thus, the Advanced Tactical Fighter program was born. The goal was bold: create a fighter that could do it all. It had to be invisible to radar, capable of cruising at supersonic speeds without burning afterburners, and agile enough to dominate in a dogfight. The result was the F-22 Raptor, a machine that didn't just raise the bar, it changed the rules of the game. When it finally took to the skies in 1997, test pilots described it as flying something from the future. One called it a spaceship that happens to fly like a fighter. So what makes the F-22 so feared? To understand that, we need to look at the layers of technology baked into its design. First, stealth. The Raptor isn't just coated with radar-absorbing paint. It was sculpted from the ground up to be invisible. Its body shape, angles, and even the way air flows over its surface were engineered to scatter radar waves. To enemy radar operators, the Raptor doesn't look like a jet at all. It looks like a bird, or sometimes nothing at all. Second, supercruise. Most jets need to use afterburners to go supersonic. Afterburners guzzle fuel and light up like a torch for enemy sensors. The F-22 doesn't need them. It can cruise at Mach 1.5 for hours, silently, invisibly, and indefinitely. Then there's maneuverability. Thanks to thrust vectoring nozzles, the F-22 can literally dance in the sky, twisting, flipping, and turning at angles that would tear most jets apart. Pilots described combat training where Raptors could point their nose at an enemy jet even while flying sideways. Imagine playing chess while being able to move your pieces in ways no one else can. That's the F-22 in a dogfight. Finally, avionics. The Raptor doesn't just fly, it sees. Its sensors can detect threats hundreds of miles away, fusing data from radar, infrared, and satellites into one unified picture. Pilots often know where their enemies are long before the enemies know they're being watched. One Air Force general summed it up best: in an F-22, the pilot is not fighting fair. They're fighting with God mode turned on. Despite being America's deadliest jet, the F-22 has a strange reputation. It's feared, but rarely seen. And that's led to some fascinating myths. One of the biggest: the Raptor was banned from export. Normally, America sells its best jets to allies. F-15s went to Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Japan. F-35s are flying in more than a dozen countries. But the F-22. Congress slammed the door shut. Not even America's closest allies like the UK, Australia, or Japan were allowed to buy it. Why? Because the technology was considered too sensitive, too dangerous to share, even with friends. Another strange fact: the F-22 was almost killed before it ever flew. The program was massively expensive. Each jet cost over $150 million to build, not counting maintenance. By 2009, the Pentagon capped production at just 187 planes, a tiny fleet compared to thousands of F-16 and F-15. To this day, that limited number makes the Raptor even rarer, like a weapon locked in a vault. And here's a fun detail most people don't know. The Raptor can kill without firing a shot. In training exercises, its radar can tag enemies from miles away. In some red flag drills, F-22s have racked up kill ratios as high as 108-0. That's right, entire squadrons wiped out by Raptors, without a single one being shot down. You might think a plane this powerful would be used everywhere, but strangely, the F-22 is rarely sent into combat. In fact, its first combat mission didn't happen until 2014, nearly a decade after it entered service. That mission was in Syria, against ISIS. And here's what's remarkable. The Air Force didn't even need the F-22 for that fight. It was overkill. But they deployed it anyway, to quietly send a message. A message to Russia, to Iran, to anyone watching. America has weapons it doesn't even need to use. One US commander said, "The Raptor wasn't there for ISIS. It was there for everyone else paying attention." There are also stories from exercises that sound almost unbelievable. In one drill, a single F-22 reportedly took on 5 advanced F-15s and scored simulated kills on all of them before the Eagles even knew where the Raptor was. To this day, some of those stories remain classified, but the legend keeps growing. So the big question, why does America keep the F-22 in the shadows? Why spend billions creating a fighter that barely leaves its hangar? The answer is both simple and complicated. First, secrecy. The US doesn't want to risk the F-22 being shot down or captured if a foreign power got their hands on even a single piece of Raptor technology, its radar systems, coatings, or engines. It could compromise decades of research. Second, strategy. The Raptor isn't designed for counterinsurgency wars against militants or guerrillas. It's a plane built for one purpose, to dominate in a war against a peer superpower. Think Russia, think China. Until that day comes, the US prefers to keep the F-22 sharp, hidden, and untouchable. Third, cost. Flying the Raptor isn't cheap. Each hour in the air costs tens of thousands of dollars. Maintaining its stealth skin alone is a nightmare of precision work. So, the Air Force uses it sparingly, almost like a collector's item too valuable to take out every day. What about the competition? Other nations have tried to build jets that rival the Raptor. Russia's Su-57, China's J-20, even America's own F-35. The Su-57, for example, is billed as a stealth fighter, but experts note its radar cross-section is nowhere near as low as the Raptor's. The Chinese J-20 looks menacing, but its maneuverability lags behind. Even the F-35, which America exports widely, isn't meant to replace the Raptor. It's more of a multi-role workhorse, while the F-22 is a pure air dominance weapon. In other words, the Raptor isn't just another jet, it's the jet. To this day, many analysts argue that no fighter in the world, even 20 years after its debut, can truly match it. So, what happens next? The Raptor fleet is aging. The jets built in the early 2000s are now 2 decades old, and yet they remain unmatched. The US is already developing the Next Generation Air Dominance Program, or NGAD. This is rumored to be a 6th-generation fighter, faster, stealthier, potentially unmanned, with AI co-pilots and drone wingmen. But here's the thing. NGAD exists because of the F-22. The Raptor proved what was possible, and set the standard for everything that comes after. Some in the Air Force quietly admit that the Raptor may never be used in full-scale war. It's simply too valuable as a deterrent. In other words, the fact that the world fears the Raptor might be more powerful than the Raptor itself. The F-22. Raptor isn't just an airplane, it's a statement, a symbol of American dominance, built not to fight every war, but to ensure that some wars never start. When it roars through the sky, it sends a message no rival can ignore. You can try, but you will lose. And maybe that's why America keeps it hidden, because sometimes the most powerful weapon is the one you almost never use. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Raptor's secrets, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It helps us bring you more stories the world rarely tells. And now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the US should unleash the F-22 more often, or is it better left in the shadows as America's ultimate ace in the hole? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them. Because in the end, the Raptor is more than a jet. It's the ghost in the sky, the one the world fears, but may never truly see.